So hi guys, my name is Pashmeen Mistry. I'm the technical marketing engineer in the services routing group. And switching gears, we'll be talking about collaboration. So as you know, the collaboration in the collaboration industry, technologies are constantly evolving due to an increase in mobile devices, in video traffic within enterprises. And all service providers want to do is now extend this rich media communications that's happening within enterprises, beyond enterprises, and extend that across enterprises. So that's the trend that we are seeing in the collaboration industry. And how that is enabled is via SIP trunking. So more and more service providers are now offering SIP trunks, which is basically an IP connection to a service provider to run voice and video calls over their native networks. And the idea is really to offer and extend this rich media services across enterprises. And what Cisco is doing in this industry is providing the collaboration edge, which is our session border controllers, which runs on the ISR and ASR platforms, and has a very flexible architecture. Because we have such a huge footprint, starting from the very low-end ISR G2s all the way to the very high-end, we can either go with a centralized deployment or with a distributor deployment, where you have SIP trunk connections going to every branch, so that for video traffic, we don't have a lot of latency, a lot of the issues with media hairpinning, etc. So that's what we're doing with these session border controllers. It basically is a software that primarily runs on the ISR and ASR platform. It's embedded in the code itself. And really, from a redundancy perspective, why we are seeing an uptake in SIP trunking is because it offers a lot more redundancy than TDM worlds would, right? If a network intern would go in the gateway, pull off a cable, all your existing calls will drop. The CEO probably will be firing that intern. But in the SIP world, that doesn't really happen, because you pull up an Ethernet cable, there is a stateful failover, so all your active calls will continue to be active. They will be preserved. The standby box will come over and continue with all the active calls and process the new calls. So that's really the idea between why we're seeing more resiliency and redundancy with SIP trunking. And we have a number of flavors available. On the inbox redundancy, we have the ASR platforms, which supports all the way up to 16,000 calls. The ASR 1006, basically a single chassis. We have dual route processors and ESP cards that goes into it. If one of them fails or an Ethernet is pulled off, it will switch over to the standby. It will keep all your existing calls active and process all the new calls. And from a box-to-box redundancy strategy, we have our ISR G2 platforms. Basically, you deploy both of them in the same layer 2 network. One acts as active and the other acts as standby. And basically, it has a virtual IP address that the service provider will be sending all the calls to. And from a clustering perspective, we have the option of installing a SIP proxy, which runs on an SRE blade that goes right here on the same platform, that can really do load balancing across data centers. So if you really want the control to send how many calls to how many data centers that you have in the network, you could leverage the SIP proxy solution and load balance across data centers, or have them active, standby, and different options from there on. And really, from a Cisco point of view, I think we've reached that stage where we can confidently say that we've really gotten PSTN connectivity to work over SIP trunks. And what are we doing beyond that, right? So one of the things we're doing is ideas like packet replication. So you can actually now do network-based recording using the ISRs and ASRs, where these platforms would take a SIP invite, copy it, send it to a recording server, establish a stateful connection, and after that it will start recording the packets. So it's not really spanning a port, which is dumb recording. All your packets are being recorded, but this is more intelligent recording. And it really opens ways to do transcoding on a recorded leg. So you have a G711 call set up, but you want to record the call as 729 to conserve bandwidth and send it all the way across your WAN. Those are the kind of things that you could do with this architecture. The other one is cloud-connected services. So now you can use these platforms to connect into different cloud-based services like Cisco WebEx, for instance, right? So this WebEx call that we have is actually going over Cisco's cube in the data center out to this room. So the idea is that you basically establish a direct SIP connection to the Cisco WebEx cloud. So you're sort of bypassing the service providers. They don't like us very well for doing that, but it ultimately reduces cost and leverages a lot of benefits, right? Call quality, reduced latency, etc. The third one is integration of voice policies. Again, we have on our routing platforms an open API, which we handed off to Cisco developers to build applications of. The first partner that we are working with is SecureLogix. And what they do is they provide centralized voice policy management. So now you can have enterprise-wide policies right at the edge rather than having it at the call control, which is within the enterprise. And the last one is really a very interesting use case, which is about making the call quality sound better, right? So it's no longer about just connecting calls. It's also about how do you make the network improve the call quality. And it's just not marketing bluff. I have a sample here for you guys. So this is over some crappy non-Cisco network. As you can see, you cannot hear that. And this is on Cisco's ISR and ASR platforms. So this is well, the accent is not very clear, but you get the idea. The heart beats strongly. Play it again.
Smoky taste.
Port is a strong wine with a smoky taste.
What is a strong wine?
We need some.
So that's the idea, is how do you really make the network intelligent enough to make the end-to-end user experience better?